How many times have you promised yourself you'd start saving next month? How many Monday mornings have you woken up swearing this would be the week you finally get your finances together? And how many times have you failed by Thursday? Here's what nobody tells you. You're not failing because you lack willpower. You're failing because willpower is the worst possible tool for building wealth. I'll say it again. Willpower is a terrible wealth-building strategy. Think about it. Right now, you're probably exhausted. You just spent 8 hours making decisions at work. You navigated traffic. You dealt with your boss, your kids, your responsibilities. Your brain is fried. And now, somebody's telling you that building wealth requires you to resist every temptation, track every dollar, and make perfect financial decisions every single day for the next 30 years. That's not a plan. That's a recipe for failure. Here's the truth. 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Not just minimum wage workers. I'm talking about people making 6 figures, doctors, lawyers, people who are supposedly smart with money. And the vast majority of them blame themselves. They think they just need more discipline, more willpower, more control. They're wrong. I spent 15 years believing the same lie. I read every book, I made every budget, I white-knuckled my way through countless savings plans. And you know what happened? I failed. Over and over again, not because I was lazy, not because I didn't care, but because I was using the wrong tool for the job. Then everything changed when I discovered something the wealthy have known forever. They don't rely on discipline. They rely on systems. See, rich people aren't more disciplined than you. They're not superhuman. They don't have some magical ability to resist temptation. What they have is something far more powerful. They've built systems that make wealth building automatic. They've removed willpower from the equation entirely. And that's exactly what I'm going to teach you in this book. By the time we're done, you're going to understand why every budget you've ever made has failed. You're going to discover the 3 automated systems that build wealth while you sleep. You're going to learn how to hack your psychology so that saving money feels easier than spending it. And most importantly, you're going to stop beating yourself up for being undisciplined and start building actual wealth. This isn't theory. Over the past decade, I've helped thousands of people transform their financial lives using these exact strategies. People who thought they were hopeless with money, people who'd failed a dozen times before, people just like you. I've seen single parents making $35,000 a year build 6-figure investment portfolios. I've seen chronically broke millennials automate their way to financial security. I've seen people who couldn't keep $20 in their checking account retire early. And none of them did it through willpower. They did it through systems. Here's what we're going to cover. In Chapter 1, I'm going to show you exactly why willpower fails, and it's not your fault. In Chapter 3, you'll discover the morning money automation that builds wealth in the first 60 seconds of your day. In Chapter 7, I'll reveal the psychological trick that makes you prioritize future you over present you without any effort. And in Chapter 10, we'll build your personalized wealth system that runs on autopilot. But here's the catch. You have to actually implement what you learn. Reading this book won't change anything. Understanding these concepts won't build wealth. Only action matters. And the beautiful thing about the systems I'm teaching you, action becomes easy. Because we're not relying on your tired, decision-fatigued brain to do the right thing. We're building systems that do it automatically. So if you're ready to stop white-knuckling your way through another failed budget, if you're exhausted from the constant mental battle with money, if you want to build wealth without thinking about it every single day, you're in the right place. Let's start with the lie that's been sabotaging you from the beginning. Chapter 1. The Willpower Trap. Have you ever noticed that every piece of financial advice sounds the same? Just spend less than you earn. Make a budget and stick to it. Have discipline. Show some self-control. It's all focused on willpower. And it's all garbage. In this chapter, you're going to discover why relying on willpower has kept you broke, and why the smartest financial move you'll ever make is admitting that willpower doesn't work. You'll understand the science behind decision fatigue, learn why your brain is sabotaging your wealth, and discover the fundamental shift that changes everything. Let me tell you about Sarah. She's a nurse practitioner making $90,000 a year. Smart woman, saves lives for a living, and she couldn't save a dime to save her own financial life. Every January, she'd create an elaborate budget. She'd track every expense. She'd pack her lunch instead of buying it. She'd skip the lattes. She'd do everything right for about 3 weeks. Then she'd have a rough shift. Some patient would die on her watch. She'd be emotionally drained. And on the drive home, she'd think, I deserve a treat. One coffee, one meal out, one little purchase to make herself feel better, and the whole system would collapse. By February, she'd given up entirely, and she'd spend the rest of the year feeling like a failure, wondering why she couldn't just have more discipline. Sound familiar? Here's what Sarah didn't understand, what nobody tells you. Willpower is a finite resource. It's not a character trait. It's literally fuel in your brain, and every decision you make throughout the day depletes that fuel. Researchers at Stanford proved this years ago. They put people in rooms and asked them to resist eating fresh-baked cookies while solving difficult puzzles. The people who had to resist the cookies gave up on the puzzles way faster than the control group. Why? Because resisting the cookies burned their decision-making fuel. By the time they got to the puzzles, they had nothing left. That's you. Every single day, you wake up and decide what to wear. Decision made, fuel burned. You choose what to eat for breakfast, more fuel gone. You navigate traffic and make 100 small judgments. You deal with your boss's stupid questions. You resist checking your phone. You decide whether to respond to that annoying email. You choose what to say in that meeting. By the time you're driving home, your willpower tank is empty. And now you're supposed to resist buying takeout. You're supposed to stick to your budget. You're supposed to make the smart financial decision when your brain is running on fumes. It's not going to happen, and it's not your fault. This is why budgets fail. Not because you're lazy, not because you don't care, but because budgets require constant decisions, and your brain literally doesn't have the capacity to make good decisions all day long. The wealthy understand this. They've learned, either through experience or through mentors, that you cannot build wealth through discipline alone, so they don't even try. Instead, they build systems that eliminate decisions entirely. Think about it. Does Warren Buffett wake up every morning and decide whether to invest? No. He has systems. He has criteria. He has automated strategies that run regardless of how he feels that day. Does the wealthy real estate investor sit there every month deciding whether to put money into their portfolio? No. It's automatic. The decision was made once, years ago, and now it just happens. That's the difference. Poor people rely on daily discipline. Wealthy people rely on one-time decisions that create permanent systems. Let me break down exactly why willpower fails, and then I'll show you the alternative. First, willpower depletes throughout the day. You start with a full tank in the morning, and every decision drains it. By evening, you're making decisions with an empty tank. This is why you order pizza at night, even though you meal prepped lunch. Your morning self had willpower. Your evening self is running on empty. Second, willpower is emotional. When you're stressed, sad, angry, or tired, your willpower vanishes. And let's be honest, when are you most likely to make bad financial decisions? When you're emotional, when you've had a hard day, when you feel like you deserve something. Your emotions override your willpower every single time. Third, willpower requires constant vigilance. You have to be on all the time. You have to remember your goals. You have to resist temptation. You have to make the right choice over and over and over. Miss once, and the whole system collapses. That's not sustainable. That's exhausting. Fourth, willpower fights against your environment. Every store, every app, every advertisement is designed by teams of psychologists to break your willpower. They're spending billions of dollars to make you want things. And you're trying to fight that with discipline? You're bringing a knife to a gunfight. And finally, willpower punishes you for being human. Had a bad day? Failed your diet? Missed a workout? Now you feel like garbage, which makes you more likely to give up entirely. Willpower creates a shame spiral that kills your momentum. Here's the shift. Instead of trying to be more disciplined, you need to build systems that require zero discipline. Instead of deciding to save money every day, you automate it so the decision happens once. Instead of resisting temptation constantly, you redesign your environment so temptation disappears. Instead of relying on your future self to do the right thing, you lock in the right behavior today so your future self can't screw it up. This is what I call decision architecture. You're not building willpower. You're building systems that make willpower irrelevant. Let me give you a real example. I worked with a guy named Marcus who was drowning in debt despite making $80,000 a year. Every month, he'd promise himself he'd pay extra on his credit cards. Every month, he'd fail. The money would just vanish into random expenses. So we stopped relying on his discipline. Instead, we set up an automatic transfer. Every payday, before he even saw the money, $400 moved from his checking to his credit card. He didn't decide to pay extra. The system decided for him. Within 18 months, he was debt-free, not because he became more disciplined, but because we removed discipline from the equation entirely. That's the power of systems over willpower. Now, here's what happens when you keep relying on willpower. You stay broke. I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. Because willpower-based financial strategies fail. Not sometimes. Always. Maybe not today. Maybe not this month. But eventually, life happens. You get stressed, you get tired, you have an emergency, and your willpower-based system collapses. And when it collapses, you don't just lose money. You lose momentum. You lose confidence. You start believing you're bad with money. You internalize the failure, and that belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. 10 years from now, you'll still be living paycheck to paycheck, wondering why you can't get ahead. And the answer will be simple. You were using the wrong strategy from the beginning. But here's what happens when you embrace systems. You build wealth effortlessly. And I mean that literally. Not easily, because setting up systems takes work, but effortlessly in the sense that once they're built, wealth accumulates without effort. Your savings grow while you sleep. Your investments compound while you're at work. Your debt shrinks while you're watching Netflix, because you made one decision that created permanent behavior. 5 years from now, you'll look at your bank account and wonder how you accumulated so much. 10 years from now, you'll be financially secure. 20 years from now, you might be wealthy. And none of it will have required daily discipline. Let's lock this in before we move on. Willpower is finite and depletes throughout the day. Willpower is emotional and fails under stress. Willpower requires constant vigilance and fights against your environment. Willpower punishes you for being human and creates shame spirals. The alternative is building systems that automate good financial behavior, making discipline irrelevant. Now you understand why willpower has been failing you. But understanding the problem isn't enough. You need to know what to do instead. In the next chapter, I'm going to introduce you to the concept that changes everything. The idea that's helped my most successful clients build serious wealth without willpower. It's called the 60-second wealth system, and it's simpler than you think. Chapter 2. The 60-second wealth system. What if I told you that you could build serious wealth with just 60 seconds of effort? Not 60 seconds per day, 60 seconds total, one time. And then you never have to think about it again. You'd probably think I'm lying, or selling something, or about to reveal some complicated scheme that requires you to be a financial genius. But I'm not. This is real. And in this chapter, you're going to learn the exact system that separates the wealthy from the broke. The system that makes building wealth so automatic that you literally forget you're doing it. Here's the brutal truth. Most people spend more time choosing what to watch on Netflix than they spend building their financial future. They'll scroll through options for 20 minutes but won't spend 60 seconds automating their savings, and that's why they're broke. The 60-second wealth system is built on one simple principle. The best financial decision you'll ever make is the one you only have to make once. Think about your life right now. How many financial decisions do you make every month? Should I save this month? How much should I save? Should I invest? Where should I invest? Should I pay extra on debt? Which debt should I prioritize? Each of those decisions burns willpower. Each one is an opportunity to fail. Each one requires you to be smart, disciplined, and motivated at the exact moment the decision needs to be made. That's insane. That's impossible. That's why you're struggling. The 60-second wealth system eliminates all of those decisions. You make one decision, one time, and it creates permanent wealth-building behavior. No willpower required, no daily discipline, no opportunity to fail. Let me show you how it works. The system has 3 components. I call them the Trinity of automatic wealth. Set these 3 things up once, and you'll build more wealth than 90% of people who are trying hard and failing. Component 1, the invisible allocation. This is where you decide right now what percentage of your income automatically goes to wealth building, not what you'll try to save, not what you hope to save. What automatically, without your involvement, without your decision, without your discipline, gets moved into wealth building the second your paycheck hits your account. Most financial advisors will tell you to save 10 to 15%. I'm going to be more aggressive. I want you to aim for 20%. But here's the key. I don't care if you start at 5%. I don't care if you start at 2%. What I care about is that it's automatic. A small amount that happens automatically beats a large amount that requires discipline. Every single time. Here's what this looks like in practice. You get paid on the 15th. At 12:01 a.m. on the 16th, before you've even woken up, before you've had your coffee, before you've thought about money at all, 20% of your paycheck is already gone. It's in your savings account, your investment account, your debt payment, wherever you designated it to go. You never see it. You never touch it. You never decide whether to save it. It's just gone. And here's the magic. Within 3 months, you won't even miss it. Your brain adapts. You learn to live on the 80% that remains, and your wealth grows invisibly in the background. I learned this from a mentor who was worth $8 million. He told me, rich people pay themselves first. Poor people pay themselves whatever's left over. And what's left over after bills, expenses, emergencies, and random purchases? Nothing. That's why they're broke. Component 2, the split-second transfer. This is where you set up automatic transfers that move money from checking to savings, from savings to investment, from income to debt payment. Not when you remember, not when you feel like it. Automatically, on a schedule, without your involvement. Most banks will let you schedule recurring transfers. It takes literally 30 seconds to set up, and once it's set up, it runs forever. That's 60 seconds of work that creates permanent wealth-building behavior. Here's the specific setup I recommend. Transfer happens the day after payday. Why? Because that's when your checking account has the most money. If you wait a week, that money will disappear into random expenses. Your brain will find ways to spend it, but if it transfers immediately, you never get attached to it. The amount is non-negotiable. Not transfer whatever I can afford. Transfer a specific dollar amount or percentage every single time. This removes decision-making. This removes excuses. This removes failure, and the destination is strategic. Money doesn't just sit in savings earning nothing. It goes into a high-yield savings account for your emergency fund. It goes into an index fund for long-term wealth. It goes to your highest interest debt. Wherever it needs to go, it goes there automatically. I had a client named Jennifer who couldn't save money to save her life. Every month, she'd tell herself she'd save whatever was left over. Every month, nothing was left over. She made $60,000 a year and had $300 in savings. We set up the split-second transfer. $300 every payday, automatic transfer to a separate savings account at a different bank. She couldn't easily access it. She couldn't accidentally spend it. She couldn't borrow from it. 18 months later, she had $11,000 saved for the first time in her adult life. Not because she became disciplined, but because we automated the behavior. Component 3, the friction barrier. This is where you make bad financial decisions harder and good financial decisions easier. You're redesigning your environment so that the default choice is the wealthy choice. Here's what this looks like. Your savings account is at a different bank than your checking account. Why? Because instant access kills savings. If you can transfer money back with one click, you will. Make it inconvenient. Make it require 2 days for the transfer. Make it require logging into a separate institution. That friction protects your wealth. Your investment contributions are automatic and unchangeable. You can't just skip a month because you want to buy something. The money's gone before you can think about it. Your credit cards are frozen in a block of ice in your freezer. Sounds crazy, right? But it works, because the 30 minutes it takes to thaw that card is 30 minutes for your rational brain to override your emotional impulse. Most impulse purchases die in those 30 minutes. Your favorite stores are unsubscribed from your email. You've deleted the shopping apps from your phone. You've installed browser extensions that block deal sites. You're not relying on willpower to resist temptation. You're eliminating temptation entirely. This is environmental design. The wealthy have been using it forever. They don't have more discipline. They have better environments. Now let me show you what happens when you implement the 60-second wealth system. Month 1. It feels weird. You notice the money's gone. You might feel a little anxious. You wonder if you can afford it. This is normal. Your brain is adjusting. Month 3. You've adapted. You don't even notice the automatic transfers anymore. You're living comfortably on what remains, and you're shocked to realize you have more saved than you've ever had before. Month 6. Your emergency fund is building, your investments are growing, your debt is shrinking, and none of it required daily discipline. You set it up once and it's been running on autopilot. Year 1. You've built more wealth this year than in the previous 5 years combined, not because you made more money, not because you became more disciplined, but because you removed discipline from the equation. Year 5. You're financially secure in a way that seemed impossible before. You have 6 months of expenses saved, you have a growing investment portfolio, you're debt-free or close to it, and you barely think about money because your systems are handling it. That's the power of 60 seconds. Here's what most people do wrong. They try to save what's left over after expenses. They try to be good with money. They try to use willpower, and they fail. Because leftover money doesn't exist. Expenses expand to fill income. That's Parkinson's law applied to finances. But when you pay yourself first, when you automate wealth building before you can spend the money, you force yourself to live on less. And your brain adapts. It always does. The key is making the decision once, not daily, not monthly. Once. You set up the automatic transfer one time. You choose your allocation one time. You design your environment one time. And then it runs. Forever. Building wealth while you're sleeping, working, living your life. Compare this to the traditional approach. The traditional approach says, be disciplined, track every expense, budget carefully, make good decisions constantly. And how's that working for most people? 78% are living paycheck to paycheck. The traditional approach fails. The 60-second wealth system succeeds, not because it's complicated, not because it requires expertise, but because it's so simple that failure is almost impossible. Let's lock this in. The best financial decision is the one you only have to make once. The 60-second wealth system has 3 components: invisible allocation, split-second transfer, and friction barrier. Set it up once and wealth builds automatically. Pay yourself first before expenses can eat the money. Remove discipline from the equation by removing decisions. Now you have the foundation. You understand why willpower fails and what to do instead. But there's a problem. Most people set up these systems and then sabotage them within 3 months. Why? Because they don't understand the psychology of money, and that's exactly what we're tackling next. Chapter 3. The Invisible Saboteur. You know what's crazy? I've seen people set up perfect financial systems, automated savings, automated investing, everything running smoothly, and then destroy it all within 90 days. Not because the system failed, but because their own psychology sabotaged them. In this chapter, you're going to discover the hidden psychological patterns that destroy wealth, even when you have the right systems in place. You'll learn why your brain is wired to keep you broke, how to identify your money scripts, and most importantly, how to rewire your psychology so it works for you instead of against you. Let me tell you about David. He was making $95,000 a year as a software engineer. He set up automatic transfers. $500 every payday went straight to savings. Perfect system. For 2 months, it worked great. He accumulated $2,000, more than he'd ever saved before. Then his car needed a repair. $400. He could have used his emergency fund. That's literally what it was for. But instead, he stopped the automatic transfer temporarily. so he'd have more cash in checking. Just for 1 month. That 1 month became 6 months. The automatic transfer never got restarted. And the $2,000? Gone. Spent on things he can't even remember. What happened? His invisible saboteur took over. Here's what you need to understand. You have two financial selves, your conscious self, the one reading this book, the one who wants to build wealth, and your subconscious self, shaped by every money message you've ever received. Your conscious self says, I want to be wealthy, I want financial security, I want to retire early. Your subconscious self says, rich people are greedy. Money causes problems. I don't deserve wealth. What if I change and my friends don't like me? What if I fail? And guess which one wins? The subconscious. Every time. This is what psychologists call money scripts, the deep beliefs about money that you absorbed from your parents, your culture, your experiences, and they're running in the background, sabotaging your wealth, and you don't even realize it. Here are the most common money scripts that keep people broke. Money script 1. Rich people are bad people. If you believe this, even subconsciously, you'll never become wealthy. Because who wants to be a bad person? Your brain will sabotage your wealth to protect your identity. You'll make bad investments. You'll overspend. You'll find ways to get rid of money because keeping it would mean becoming one of them. I had this script for years. I grew up hearing, money's the root of all evil. Rich people are greedy. Money changes people. And you know what? I stayed broke. Not because I couldn't make money, but because I couldn't keep it. Anytime I started building wealth, I'd find some way to blow it. Then I realized, money's not good or evil. It's neutral, a tool, and wealthy people aren't bad. Some are, some aren't, just like poor people. Once I rewired that script, everything changed. Money script 2. I don't deserve wealth. This one's insidious. Maybe you made mistakes in the past. Maybe you feel guilty about something. Maybe you're comparing yourself to others and feeling inadequate. Whatever the source, if you believe you don't deserve money, you won't keep it. Your brain will find ways to get rid of it. Bad investments, helping others when you can't afford to, buying things you don't need, sabotaging job opportunities, all to maintain the identity of, I'm someone who doesn't have money. Money script 3. There's never enough. This creates scarcity thinking. Even when you have money, you're terrified of losing it. So you hoard it, but never invest it. Or you spend it all because you might as well enjoy it before it's gone. Either way, the script keeps you from building real wealth. Money script 4. I'm not good with money. This becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You believe you're bad with money, so you don't try to learn. You don't try to improve. You make bad decisions because that's just who I am. And every bad decision reinforces the belief. Here's the truth. You're not bad with money. You've never been taught good systems. But now that script is keeping you from implementing what you're learning. Money script 5. Money will solve all my problems. This one seems positive, but it's just as destructive. Because when you believe money is the solution to everything, you'll chase it desperately. You'll make risky investments. You'll fall for get-rich-quick schemes. And when money doesn't solve your relationship problems or your health problems or your identity problems, because it won't, you'll be disappointed and might give up entirely. Now here's where this gets interesting. These scripts are running automatically in the background. They're not conscious thoughts. They're feelings, instincts, patterns of behavior that seem normal to you because you've had them your whole life. So how do you identify your money scripts? Here's a simple exercise. Finish these sentences without thinking. Just write the first thing that comes to mind. Rich people are, I could never be wealthy because money makes people. If I had $1 million, my parents always said money was, whatever answers came up, that's your programming. Those are the scripts running your financial life. And until you identify them, you can't change them. Now here's how you rewire them. You don't fight them. You don't try to suppress them. You replace them with new, empowering scripts. If your old script is, rich people are bad people, your new script is, wealthy people have more resources to help others and live according to their values. If your old script is, I don't deserve wealth, your new script is, I deserve financial security and the freedom to live life on my terms. If your old script is, "There's never enough," your new script is, "There's abundance all around me, and I'm capable of creating more value." If your old script is, "I'm not good with money," your new script is, "I'm learning systems that make wealth building automatic and easy." But here's the key. You can't just say these new scripts once and expect change. You have to repeat them until they become automatic, until your subconscious believes them, until they become your new default. This is why affirmations work, not because they're magical, but because repetition rewires neural pathways. Say something enough times and your brain starts to believe it. I had a client named Maria who grew up in poverty. Her family always said, "Money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that. We're not the kind of people who have nice things." And she internalized all of it. She was making $55,000 a year but living like she made $20,000. She felt guilty buying new clothes. She felt anxious having money in savings. She literally gave away a year-end bonus because people like me don't get bonuses. We identified the script, and then we rewired it. Every morning she'd say, "I create value, and I deserve to be compensated for it. Wealth allows me to help others and live freely. I am becoming the kind of person who builds financial security." It felt fake at first. She didn't believe it, but she said it anyway, every day for 6 months. And slowly, her behavior changed. She stopped giving money away impulsively. She stopped feeling guilty about saving. She accepted a promotion she would have turned down before. 2 years later, she had $30,000 saved and was investing regularly, not because her income dramatically increased, but because her psychology shifted. Here's another invisible saboteur: the lifestyle creep. This one kills more financial dreams than almost anything else. Here's how it works. You get a raise, you're making more money, and instead of saving the increase, you increase your spending to match. New car, bigger apartment, more expensive habits. Before you know it, you're making $20,000 more a year but still living paycheck to paycheck. Why does this happen? Because your brain adapts to your lifestyle. What felt like luxury becomes normal. What felt like enough becomes insufficient. You're on a hedonic treadmill, constantly chasing the next level of comfort, never actually getting ahead. The solution? Automate the raises. Every time you get a raise, immediately increase your automatic savings by at least half the raise amount. Got a 3% raise? Increase your automatic savings by at least 1.5%. That way, your wealth grows with your income, and lifestyle creep can't steal your future. Another saboteur: the comparison trap. You see your friend buy a new car, and suddenly your car feels inadequate. You see someone's vacation photos, and suddenly you need a vacation. You're comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel, and it's destroying your financial progress. Here's the truth. Their car might be financed at 18% interest. Their vacation might be on a credit card they can't afford. Their life might be falling apart behind the Instagram posts. You don't know. And it doesn't matter. The only comparison that matters is you versus past you. Are you better off than you were last year? Are you making progress toward your goals? That's it. Everyone else's financial situation is irrelevant. Let me tell you what happens when you don't deal with your invisible saboteur. You set up perfect systems, and then you override them. You save money, and then you find reasons to spend it. You make progress, and then you self-sabotage. And 5 years from now, you're exactly where you are today, wondering why nothing ever changes. But here's what happens when you identify and rewire your money scripts. Your systems actually work. You don't sabotage yourself. You make progress without the constant internal battle. Wealth building becomes natural instead of forced. And 10 years from now, you look back amazed at how far you've come. Let's lock this in. You have money scripts running in the background, sabotaging your wealth. Common scripts include, "Rich people are bad," "I don't deserve wealth," and "There's never enough." Identify your scripts by finishing the sentences I gave you. Replace old scripts with empowering new ones through repetition. Automate your raises to prevent lifestyle creep. Stop comparing yourself to others. Compare only to past you. Now you understand the psychology, you've got the systems, but there's one more piece missing. Most people struggle with wealth building because they're focused on the wrong side of the equation. They're obsessed with cutting expenses when they should be focused on growing income. And that's exactly what we're tackling in the next chapter. Chapter 4, the Income Acceleration Formula. Here's a question that's going to sound controversial. What if I told you that your spending isn't really the problem? I know. Every financial book tells you to cut back, spend less, skip the lattes, pack your lunch. And yeah, that stuff matters. But it's not the real game. In this chapter, you're going to learn why focusing on income growth beats focusing on expense cutting every single time. You'll discover the 3 income accelerators that changed my life, learn how to create value that people will pay for, and understand why your time is either an asset or a liability. Let me be blunt. You can't cut your way to wealth. Think about it. Let's say you make $50,000 a year. If you cut every unnecessary expense, eat rice and beans, never go out, never buy anything fun, maybe you can save $10,000 a year. That's 20%. That's amazing discipline. But you're still only saving $10,000 a year. At that rate, it'll take you 20 years to save $200,000, and you'll be miserable the entire time. Now compare that to someone who focuses on growing their income. They go from $50,000 to $75,000 in 3 years. They save the $25,000 increase. That's $15,000 more per year than the person who's cutting expenses. And they're not living on rice and beans. See the difference? Expense cutting has a ceiling. Income growth doesn't. I spent years trying to budget my way to wealth. I tracked every penny. I made spreadsheets. I denied myself everything. And you know what? I saved maybe $5,000 a year. I was broke and miserable. Then I shifted my focus to income growth. I learned new skills. I provided more value. I created additional income streams. My income doubled in 3 years. And saving became easy because I had so much more to work with. That's the income acceleration formula. Growing income makes every other financial strategy easier. Now, before you say, "But I can't just magically make more money," you're right. You can't magically make more money, but you can systematically make more money, and that's what I'm going to show you. There are 3 income accelerators. Master these, and you'll never worry about money again. Income accelerator. 1. The value multiplier. This is about providing more value in less time. Most people trade time for money. 1 hour of work equals 1 hour of pay. That's a trap, because you only have so many hours. You hit a ceiling. The wealthy don't trade time for money. They trade value for money, and value can multiply infinitely. Here's what this looks like in practice. Instead of doing one thing 10 times, you create a system that does that thing automatically. Instead of solving the same problem repeatedly, you create a solution that solves it once for many people. Instead of being paid for your time, you're paid for your results. Let me give you a real example. I had a client named Tom who was a graphic designer. He charged $50 an hour. Good rate. But he was capped. He could only work so many hours. We shifted his model. Instead of custom designs, he created templates. He spent a week making 20 high-quality templates. Then he sold them online for $29 each. He made those templates once. They sold hundreds of times. His hourly rate went from $50 to effectively $500 for that week's work, and it kept paying him for years. That's the value multiplier. You create value once, and it pays you repeatedly. How do you apply this in your life? Look at your current job. What tasks do you do repeatedly? Can you systematize them? Can you create templates? Can you automate parts of the process? Every time you multiply value without multiplying effort, you're accelerating income. Income accelerator. 2. The skill stack. This is about becoming so valuable that people can't ignore you. Not by becoming the best at one thing, but by becoming uniquely good at a combination of things. Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, talks about this. He says he's not the best artist, he's not the best comedian, he's not the best writer, but he's pretty good at all 3. And that combination makes him uniquely valuable. That's a skill stack. You combine skills that complement each other, and suddenly you're in a category of 1. Here's how this accelerates income. Let's say you're a project manager. That's valuable. But there are thousands of project managers. Now, add digital marketing knowledge. Now you're a project manager who understands marketing. Much more valuable. Now add basic coding. Now you're a project manager who understands marketing and can communicate with developers. You're rare. You're irreplaceable. You can command premium rates. I did this myself. I started as a writer. Decent income. Then I learned sales psychology. Then I learned data analysis. Then I learned how to run paid ads. Now I'm not just a writer. I'm someone who can create content that sells and prove it with data. That combination makes me 10 times more valuable than when I was just a writer. The key is choosing skills that multiply each other's value. Don't just collect random skills. Pick skills that compound: public speaking plus writing, coding plus design, sales plus psychology, finance plus real estate. And here's the beautiful thing. You don't have to be world-class at each skill. You just have to be competent. The combination is what makes you valuable. Income accelerator. 3. The leverage ladder. This is about climbing from low leverage work to high leverage work. There are 4 levels of leverage, and most people stay stuck at level 1 their entire lives. Level 1 is time leverage. You trade your time for money. You work an hour, you get paid for an hour. This is most jobs. It's a starting point, but it's also a trap. Level 2 is tool leverage. You use tools to multiply your output. A designer uses software. A writer uses templates. A salesperson uses automation. You're still trading time, but you're more efficient. Level 3 is people leverage. You build systems that use other people's time. You hire, you delegate, you manage. Your income isn't limited by your hours anymore. It's limited by how many people you can coordinate. Level 4 is capital leverage. You use money to make money, investments, real estate, business ownership. This is where wealth multiplies exponentially. Most people never climb the ladder. They stay at level 1, trading time for money, wondering why they can't get ahead. The wealthy climb deliberately. They start at level 1, master level 2, build to level 3, and eventually reach level 4. And here's the key. You don't have to wait until you're rich to use leverage. You can start today. Level 2 is available right now. What tools can you use to multiply your output? What skills can you learn to provide more value in less time? Now let me show you what this looks like in practice. I'm going to tell you about 2 people, Rachel and Mike. Same age, same education, same starting salary of $45,000. Rachel focused on cutting expenses. She budgeted religiously. She saved 10% of her income. She was disciplined. 10 years later, she's making $52,000 due to standard raises. She's saved about $35,000. She's doing okay. Mike focused on income acceleration. He learned new skills every year. He moved to jobs that valued his skill stack. He created side income through the value multiplier. He climbed the leverage ladder. 10 years later, he's making $90,000. He's saved over $80,000 because he automated 20% of his higher income. And he has a side business generating another $1,000 a month. Both were disciplined. Both were smart. But Mike's strategy was 10 times more effective because he focused on the right side of the equation. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Your income is not fixed. It feels fixed because that's what you're used to. But it's actually incredibly flexible. There are people making $20,000 a year. There are people making $20 million a year. The difference isn't luck, it's value creation. The more value you provide, the more income you generate. And the more income you generate, the easier everything else becomes. Saving becomes easy. Investing becomes easy. Debt payoff becomes easy. Everything becomes easier when you have more income to work with. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds great, but I don't know how to provide more value. I don't know what skills to learn. I don't know where to start. Fair. Let me give you a practical roadmap. First, identify what you're already good at. What do people ask you for help with? What comes naturally to you? That's your foundation. Second, identify what skills would complement your foundation. If you're good at analysis, maybe add visualization skills. If you're good at teaching, maybe add content creation. If you're good at sales, maybe add psychology. Third, commit to learning one new skill this year. Not superficially. Actually master it. 6 months of focused learning can add $10,000 to your annual income. That's a 2,000% return on your time investment. Fourth, Start providing value before you're paid for it. Create content, help people solve problems, build a portfolio, demonstrate your value. Once you've proven value, charging for it becomes easy. Fifth, always be climbing the leverage ladder. If you're at level 1, what tools can you adopt to reach level 2? If you're at level 2, how can you start delegating to reach level 3? Keep climbing. Let me tell you what happens when you ignore income acceleration. You stay stuck. Your income grows slowly, 2 to 3% a year if you're lucky. Your expenses grow faster due to inflation. You're working harder but falling behind. And 20 years from now, you're still stressed about money. But here's what happens when you embrace income acceleration. Your income grows dramatically. You double your income in 5 years. You triple it in 10. Your automated saving systems now have way more fuel. Your investments grow faster. You reach financial independence decades earlier. And you actually enjoy the journey because you're not depriving yourself. Let's lock this in. You can't cut your way to wealth. Income growth is unlimited while expense cutting has a ceiling. The value multiplier means creating value once and getting paid repeatedly. The skill stack combines complementary skills to become uniquely valuable. The leverage ladder moves from time leverage to tool leverage to people leverage to capital leverage. Focus on providing more value, and income will follow. Now you understand income acceleration. But there's a trap waiting for you. It's called lifestyle inflation. You make more money, and you spend more money, and you end up exactly where you started. So in the next chapter, I'm going to show you how to grow your income without growing your expenses, how to capture the increase and turn it into permanent wealth. Chapter 5. The Wealth Capture System. Here's the sad truth. Most people who double their income don't double their wealth. They double their spending. You've seen this. The coworker who got promoted bought a luxury car and now complains they're still broke. The friend who got a huge raise moved to an expensive apartment and has nothing saved. The relative who makes 6 figures but lives paycheck to paycheck. This chapter is about preventing that trap. You're going to learn the wealth capture system, how to automatically convert income growth into permanent wealth, how to enjoy your money without sabotaging your future, and why the gap between your income and expenses is the only number that matters. Let me tell you about Jason. He went from $45,000 a year to $90,000 a year in 6 years. Impressive growth. He applied everything I taught about income acceleration. He was crushing it. And when I looked at his finances, he had $1,200 saved. 6 years of incredible income growth. Almost nothing to show for it. What happened? He upgraded everything. New car payment, bigger apartment, designer clothes, expensive hobbies, business class flights. His spending rose in perfect lockstep with his income. He was making twice as much and saving less than before. That's the default path. That's what happens when you don't have a wealth capture system. You make more, you spend more, you stay broke. Here's what you need to understand. Wealth isn't built from how much you make. Wealth is built from the gap between what you make and what you spend. That gap is everything. Let me prove it to you with math. Person A makes $50,000 and spends $45,000. $5,000 gap. Person B makes $150,000 and spends $148,000. $2,000 gap. Who builds more wealth? Person A. Despite making 1/3 the income, the gap is everything. And here's the critical insight. The easiest time to increase your gap is when your income grows. Because you're not used to having that extra money yet. Your lifestyle hasn't adapted. Your brain hasn't attached to it. It's the perfect moment to capture it for wealth building. This is what I call the capture window. You have approximately 60 days after a raise or income increase before lifestyle inflation sets in. 60 days to lock in the wealth building behavior. After that, your brain adapts, your spending increases, and the opportunity is gone. So here's the wealth capture system. It has 3 components, and if you implement them, you'll build serious wealth no matter what your income is. Component 1, the 50-30-20 split. When your income increases, you immediately split the increase into 3 buckets. 50% goes to wealth building, 30% improves your lifestyle, 20% accelerates goals like debt payoff. This is the magic formula. You're not telling yourself you can't enjoy the raise. That would be miserable and unsustainable. But you're also not letting lifestyle inflation eat the entire increase. Got a $3,000 annual raise? That's $250 a month. $125 automatically goes to investment. $75 improves your lifestyle. $50 pays down debt. You feel the improvement in your life, but you're building massive wealth in the background. Component 2, the invisible capture. This is where you automate the wealth building portion before you ever see it. The day your raise takes effect, you increase your automatic transfers. Not next month, not when you get around to it. The same day. Why? Because if you see that money first, you'll spend it. Your brain will find uses for it. Oh, I can finally afford this. I deserve this. It's just sitting there. But if it's gone before you see it, you never get attached, you never miss it, and your wealth grows invisibly. I can't stress this enough. Automate the capture immediately. This is the difference between people who build wealth from raises and people who waste them. Component 3, the lifestyle lock. This is where you prevent lifestyle inflation from spiraling. Every time you increase your spending in one category, you commit to not increasing it in another category for 6 months. Got a new car payment? No restaurant upgrades for 6 months. Moved to a nicer apartment? No new subscriptions for 6 months. Bought new furniture? No vacation upgrades for 6 months. This forces you to be intentional. It prevents the slow creep where every category expands and suddenly you're spending $3,000 more a month without realizing how it happened. Now let me show you what this looks like in practice. I worked with a woman named Lisa who got promoted. Her salary jumped from $65,000 to $85,000, $20,000 increase. We implemented the wealth capture system immediately. $10,000 automatically went to investments. $6,000 improved her lifestyle. She got a better apartment and started eating out more. $4,000 went to eliminating her credit card debt. Within 2 years, she was debt-free and had $35,000 invested, and she was living better than before. That's the power of capturing the gap. Compare that to her colleague, who also got the same promotion. He didn't capture anything. He upgraded his car, his apartment, his everything. 2 years later, he's still in debt, has nothing saved, and honestly doesn't even feel like he's living better because he adapted to the new spending level so quickly. Same income increase, completely different outcomes, all because of whether they captured the wealth or let it slip away. Here's another critical concept: the reverse lifestyle inflation. This is where you intentionally reduce expenses and redirect the savings to wealth building. And before you say, "I thought you said don't focus on expense cutting," this is different. This isn't deprivation. This is optimization. It's finding expenses that don't actually improve your life and redirecting that money to things that matter. Example, you're paying for a gym membership you never use, $35 a month. You cancel it and redirect that $35 to investment. You don't miss the gym you never attended. But in 30 years, that $35 compounded becomes over $45,000. Example, you're subscribed to 4 streaming services but only watch one. You cancel 3 and redirect $70 a month to investment. You don't miss the services you barely used, but that's over $75,000 in 30 years. This isn't about living like a pauper. It's about being honest about what actually brings value to your life and eliminating the rest. Here's a simple exercise. Look at your last 3 months of expenses. For every recurring expense, ask yourself, does this genuinely improve my life? Not, do I like having it? Not, might I use it someday? Does it genuinely, tangibly improve your life right now? If the answer is no, cut it. Redirect the money, capture the wealth. I did this exercise myself a few years ago. I was paying for a premium car wash service, $40 a month. Sounded nice. But I realized I didn't actually care that much about how clean my car was. I was paying for it out of habit, not value. I canceled it. $40 a month to investment. No reduction in my quality of life whatsoever. That's reverse lifestyle inflation. finding the fat without cutting the muscle. Now here's the hardest part of the wealth capture system, resisting comparison. Your income grows, you capture it for wealth building, but then you see your friends upgrading their lives, new cars, nice vacations, designer everything, and you feel behind. But here's what you're not seeing. They're broke. They're financing everything. They're stressed. They're living an Instagram life that's collapsing behind the scenes. Meanwhile, you're quietly building real wealth. You might not have the flashiest car, but you have investments compounding, you have options, you have freedom growing in the background. 10 years from now, they'll still be broke with a newer car. You'll be financially independent. Who wins? This requires mental strength. It requires focusing on your own path. It requires valuing freedom over appearance, but it's worth it. Let me tell you what happens if you don't implement the wealth capture system. You'll make more money and stay broke. You'll look back in 20 years and realize you earned $2 million over your career and have nothing to show for it. You'll work until you're 70 because you spent every raise instead of capturing it. But here's what happens when you do implement it. Every income increase builds permanent wealth. Your investments grow, your net worth climbs. You reach financial independence while you're still young enough to enjoy it. And you do it without feeling deprived because you're capturing the increase, not cutting your current lifestyle. Let's lock this in. Wealth is built from the gap between income and expenses, not from income alone. The capture window is the 60 days after a raise before lifestyle inflation sets in. The 50-30-by-20 split allocates raises to wealth building, lifestyle improvement, and goal acceleration. Automate the capture immediately. Don't wait. Implement the lifestyle lock to prevent spending creep. Use reverse lifestyle inflation to optimize expenses that don't add value. You now understand how to capture wealth from income growth. But there's one more piece of the puzzle. Most people save money and leave it sitting in a checking account earning nothing. That's not wealth building. That's just delayed spending. In the next chapter, I'm going to show you how to make your captured wealth actually grow. How to turn savings into investments that multiply while you sleep. Chapter 6. The Compound Multiplier. You want to know the biggest difference between broke people and wealthy people? It's not how much they make. It's not even how much they save. It's what they do with what they save. Broke people save and let it sit. Wealthy people save and make it multiply. In this chapter, you're going to learn why saving money isn't enough. Discover the compound multiplier that turns thousands into millions, and understand the one investment strategy that beats 95% of experts. Let me hit you with some math that'll change your life. If you save $500 a month for 30 years in a savings account earning 1% interest, you'll have around $190,000. If you invest that same $500 a month in index funds averaging 10% returns, you'll have over $1 million. Same discipline, same monthly amount. The only difference is where you put it, and that difference is $800,000. That's the power of the compound multiplier. That's why saving without investing is planning to be broke. Now, I know what you're thinking. Investing is risky. The stock market crashes. I could lose everything. Let me address that right now, because this fear keeps more people broke than anything else. Here's the truth. Keeping your money in cash is riskier than investing it. Why? Because inflation is guaranteed to eat your purchasing power. The stock market might go down sometimes. Inflation always goes up. Cash loses value every single year. That's guaranteed loss. Meanwhile, the stock market has averaged 10% annual returns for nearly a century. Yes, there are down years. Yes, there are crashes. But over any 20-year period in history, the market has never lost money. Never. So which is riskier? Guaranteed loss to inflation? Or temporary volatility with historical gains? The math isn't even close. But here's where people screw this up. They overcomplicate it. They think they need to pick individual stocks. They think they need to time the market. They think they need to be experts. And because they're not experts, they don't invest at all. That's a mistake that costs millions. Here's the simple strategy that beats 95% of professional investors. Invest in low-cost index funds. That's it. That's the whole strategy. An index fund is a basket of stocks that tracks the entire market. You're not betting on one company. You're betting on the economy growing over time. And the economy has grown over time, consistently, for over a century. When you invest in an index fund, you're buying a piece of every major company. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, all of them. If one company fails, it barely affects you. If the overall economy grows, you grow with it. This is what Warren Buffett recommends. This is what he's leaving to his wife in his will. Not stock picks, not complex strategies, index funds. And the best part? It requires zero effort. You set up automatic investments. The money goes in every month. You never touch it. You don't try to time the market. You don't panic sell during crashes. You just let compound interest do its thing. Let me explain compound interest, because this is the compound multiplier that makes ordinary people wealthy. Compound interest is interest on interest. You invest money, it grows. Next year, you earn interest on the original amount plus the growth. The year after, you earn interest on an even bigger amount. It snowballs. Here's what this looks like. You invest $10,000 at 10% annual returns. Year 1, you have $11,000. Year 2, you have $12,100. Not just $12,000 because you earned interest on last year's interest. Year 3, $13,310. The growth accelerates every year. After 10 years, you have almost $26,000. You've more than doubled your money. After 20 years, you have over $67,000. After 30 years, over $174,000 from a single $10,000 investment. That's compound interest. And it's why starting early matters so much. If you invest $300 a month starting at age 25, you'll have over $1 million by age 65. If you start at age 35, you'll have around $450,000. If you start at 45, you'll have around $160,000. Same monthly investment. The only difference is time. And that difference is hundreds of thousands of dollars. Time is your biggest asset when it comes to investing. Not money, not knowledge, time. This is why I'm so aggressive about getting people to start now, not when you're debt-free, not when you feel ready, not when you've saved a big lump sum. Now, even if it's $50 a month, because every month you wait costs you exponentially. Now let me tell you about the biggest mistake people make with investing. They wait for the right time. They wait for the market to drop. They wait until they have more money. They wait until they understand it better. And while they're waiting, they're losing years of compound growth that they can never get back. The right time to invest was yesterday. The second best time is today. Not next month, not next year. Today. Here's a story that proves this. Two brothers, Tom and Jerry. Tom starts investing $300 a month at age 25. He invests for 10 years, then stops completely. He invested $36,000 total. Jerry waits until he's 35 to start. He invests $300 a month for 30 years until retirement. He invested $108,000 total, 3 times more than Tom. Who has more at retirement? Tom. By a lot. Because he started earlier. His compound interest had more time to work. That's the power of time and compound interest. It's not about how much you invest, it's about how long your money has to grow. Now, let me give you the exact investing system I teach. It's dead simple. Anyone can do it, and it works. Step 1. Open an investment account. I recommend Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab. They all have low fees and good index funds. This takes 15 minutes. Do it today. Step 2. Set up automatic monthly transfers from your checking account to your investment account. Whatever amount you decided to automate earlier, make it happen, even if it's $50. Just start. Step 3. Buy a total stock market index fund. At Vanguard, it's VTSAX. At Fidelity, it's FZROX. At Schwab, it's SWTSX. These funds track the entire U.S. stock market. You're buying a piece of American business. That's it. That's the investment. Step 4. Do nothing. Don't check it constantly. Don't panic when it drops. Don't sell during crashes. Just let it compound. Check it maybe once a quarter to make sure the automatic investments are working. Otherwise, ignore it. That's the entire system. 4 steps. And if you do this for 30 years, you'll be wealthy. It's almost boring how simple it is. But here's where people mess up. They can't handle volatility. The market drops 20%. They panic, they sell, they lock in losses, and they miss the recovery. Let me tell you something about market crashes. They're sales. That's it. When the market drops, your investments are on sale. You should be excited, not scared. You're buying the same companies at a discount. Think about it this way. If your favorite store had a 50% off sale, would you panic and refuse to shop there? No. You'd buy more. That's what a market crash is, a sale. And the best investors buy more during crashes, not less. I know this is hard emotionally. I've lived through crashes. I've seen my portfolio drop 30%. It's terrifying. But I didn't sell. I kept investing. And every crash has been followed by a recovery that reached new highs, every single one. The people who sold during crashes stayed broke. The people who held through crashes became wealthy. It's that simple. Here's another key concept: tax-advantaged accounts. These are investment accounts that give you tax benefits. The main ones are 401ks and IRAs. A 401k is offered by your employer. You contribute pre-tax money. It grows tax-free. You pay taxes when you withdraw in retirement. Many employers match your contributions. That's literally free money. If your employer matches up to 5% and you're not contributing at least 5%, you're turning down a raise. An IRA is an individual retirement account you open yourself. A traditional IRA gives you tax deductions now. A Roth IRA grows tax-free and you never pay taxes on withdrawals. I generally prefer Roth IRAs for most people because tax-free growth is incredible. The contribution limits change each year, but as of now, you can contribute about $6,500 to an IRA and about $23,000 to a 401k annually. Max these out if you can. If you can't, contribute whatever you can. Something is better than nothing. Now let me address some common objections I hear. But what if I need the money? That's what your emergency fund is for. You should have 3 to 6 months of expenses in a high-yield savings account before you invest heavily. But once you have that cushion, invest aggressively. You won't need it, and if you do, you can borrow against your investments or withdraw some. But the market is at an all-time high. The market is at an all-time high most of the time. That's how growth works. If you wait for it to drop, you might wait years, and during those years, you're losing compound growth. Time in the market beats timing the market. But I don't have enough to invest. You have enough, even if it's $25 a month. Start where you are. The habit matters more than the amount. Build the system now, increase the amount later. Let me tell you what happens if you don't invest. Inflation destroys your savings. Your money loses value every year. You work 40 years and retire broke. You depend on Social Security, which might not even exist. You can't afford retirement. You work until you die. That's not dramatic. That's reality for most Americans. But here's what happens when you invest consistently. Your money multiplies. Compound interest makes you wealthy while you sleep. You retire with enough money to live comfortably. You have options. You have freedom. You escape the paycheck-to-paycheck trap permanently. Let's lock this in. Saving without investing is planning to stay broke. Index funds are the simple strategy that beats 95% of experts. Compound interest is interest on interest. It's the compound multiplier that builds wealth. Time is your biggest asset. Start now, not later. Automate your investment so it happens without willpower. Don't panic sell during crashes. They're buying opportunities, not disasters. Use tax-advantaged accounts like 401ks and IRAs to maximize growth. You now understand how to make your money multiply. But there's one thing that can destroy all this progress in a single day. It's called risk. And if you don't protect yourself from it, everything you've built can disappear. In the next chapter, I'm going to show you how to build an impenetrable financial fortress, how to protect your wealth from life's disasters. Chapter 7. The Wealth Fortress. You know what's heartbreaking? Watching someone build wealth for 10 years, then lose it all in 6 months because they didn't protect themselves. I've seen it happen. medical emergency with no insurance, house fire with inadequate coverage, lawsuit with no umbrella policy, disability with no income protection, years of discipline destroyed by one unprotected risk. In this chapter, you're going to learn how to build a wealth fortress, the insurance and protection strategies that ensure your wealth survives any disaster. You'll discover which protections are essential versus which are wastes of money, and how to buy insurance without getting ripped off. Let me be clear. I hate spending money on insurance. It feels like you're paying for something you hope you never use. It feels like throwing money away. But you know what I hate more? Losing everything because I was too cheap to protect it. Insurance isn't an expense, it's a wealth preservation strategy. And the people who skip it always regret it. Let me tell you about Kevin. He was doing everything right. He was saving 25% of his income. He was investing in index funds. He was on track to retire early. Then he got diagnosed with cancer at 38. He survived. But the medical bills destroyed him. He had health insurance, but it was a high-deductible plan with a weak maximum out-of-pocket. He ended up with $60,000 in medical debt. He had to drain his retirement accounts to pay it, lost 10 years of wealth building in 6 months, all because he chose the cheapest insurance to save $100 a month. Don't be Kevin. Here are the 5 essential protections that every wealth builder needs. These aren't optional. These are the walls of your wealth fortress. Skip any of them, and you're vulnerable. Protection 1, health insurance. This is non-negotiable. Medical bankruptcy is the #1 cause of bankruptcy in America. One serious illness without insurance, and you're destroyed financially. But here's what people get wrong. They choose the cheapest plan without understanding what they're buying. A cheap plan with a $10,000 deductible might save you $50 a month until you actually need care. Then you're paying $10,000 out of pocket before insurance kicks in. Here's my rule. Choose a plan with a reasonable deductible and a clear maximum out of pocket. Yes, the monthly premium is higher, but you're protecting yourself from catastrophic loss. That's worth the extra $100 a month. And if you're young and healthy and tempted to skip insurance or go with a catastrophic plan, don't. You think you're invincible until you're not, and when you're not, it's too late. Protection. 2, term life. Insurance. If anyone depends on your income, you need life insurance, period. Not whole life, not universal life. Term life. Term life is simple. You pay a premium. If you die during the term, your beneficiaries get a payout. No complicated investments, no cash value, just pure protection. How much do you need? Multiply your annual income by 10. If you make $60,000, get $600,000 in coverage. This ensures your family can maintain their lifestyle if you die. How long should the term be? Until your kids are grown and your spouse could survive without your income. Usually 20 or 30 years. And it's cheap. A healthy 30-year-old can get $500,000 in coverage for maybe $30 a month. That's a rounding error in your budget, and it protects your family from financial disaster. Protection 3, disability insurance. This is the one people skip, and it's the one that matters most. Why? Because you're way more likely to become disabled than to die young. If you can't work, how do you pay bills? How do you eat? How do you survive? Social Security disability takes years to get and barely covers anything. You need private disability insurance. Here's what to look for. Coverage that pays at least 60% of your income. A policy that covers your specific occupation, not just any occupation. And a benefit period that lasts until retirement age if needed. Yes, it's expensive, maybe 2 to 3% of your income. But compare that to losing 100% of your income with no protection. It's worth it. Protection. 4. Homeowners or renters insurance. If you own a home, you already have homeowners insurance. The mortgage requires it. But make sure you have enough coverage to actually rebuild if your house burns down. And get replacement cost coverage, not actual cash value. If you rent, get renter's insurance. It's ridiculously cheap, maybe $15 a month, and it protects all your stuff. Your laptop, your TV, your clothes, everything. One burglary or fire, and you're out thousands without it. Protection 5. Umbrella insurance. This is the protection nobody knows about and everyone needs. An umbrella policy provides liability coverage above your home and auto insurance. Why does this matter? Because lawsuits happen. You cause a car accident. Someone gets hurt on your property. You're sued for $1 million. Your regular insurance covers $300,000. You're personally on the hook for $700,000. An umbrella policy covers that gap. And it's cheap. $1 million in coverage costs maybe $200 a year. That's $17 a month to protect your entire net worth from catastrophic lawsuits. Once you have assets worth protecting, get an umbrella policy. It's the cheapest insurance for the coverage you get. Now let me tell you what you don't need, because insurance salespeople will try to sell you expensive garbage that wastes your money. Skip whole life insurance. It's sold as insurance plus investment. It's terrible at both. The fees are massive. The returns are terrible. The insurance is overpriced. Just buy term life and invest the difference yourself. Skip most extended warranties. They're almost always bad deals. The profit margin for companies selling them is over 50%. That tells you everything. Self-insure by having an emergency fund instead. Skip insurance on stuff that's replaceable. Phone insurance, probably not worth it. Laptop insurance, just save the monthly fees and replace it if it breaks. Insurance is for catastrophic losses, not minor inconveniences. Skip cancer insurance, heart attack insurance, or any other disease-specific insurance. These are generally scams. Your regular health insurance covers these. You don't need separate policies. Now let me talk about the other part of the wealth fortress, emergency funds. This is your first line of defense against financial disasters. An emergency fund is 3 to 6 months of expenses kept in a high-yield savings account. Not invested, not in your checking account, in a separate account you can't easily access. Why? Because life happens. Your car breaks down. You lose your job. Your kid needs emergency dental work. The furnace dies. Without an emergency fund, these become emergencies that destroy your finances. With an emergency fund, they're just annoying. Here's how to build one. Start with $1,000. That's your mini emergency fund. It covers most small emergencies. Then work your way up to 1 month of expenses, then 3 months, then 6 months. How much is expenses? Add up your rent, utilities, food, insurance, minimum debt payments, everything you absolutely must pay each month. Multiply that by 6. That's your target. I know that sounds like a lot. For someone spending $3,000 a month, that's $18,000. That feels impossible. But remember, you're building this slowly. $50 a month becomes $600 a year. In 3 years, you have $1,800. Add in raises and captured wealth, and you get there faster than you think. And once you have it, don't touch it. That's the hard part. You'll be tempted. It's just sitting there. I could use it for this trip. I could use it for this purchase. Don't. The emergency fund is for emergencies only. Job loss, medical crisis, true unexpected disasters, not I want something. Let me tell you what happens without a wealth fortress. One disaster destroys everything. Medical emergency, lawsuit, disability, job loss. Without protection, you drain your savings, you go into debt, you lose years of progress, you might even lose your home, all because you didn't protect yourself. But here's what happens with a wealth fortress. Disasters still happen, but they don't destroy you. Insurance covers the big stuff. Your emergency fund covers the small stuff. You weather the storm. You recover. You keep building wealth. You survive what breaks other people. Let's lock this in. Insurance isn't an expense. It's wealth preservation. The 5 essential protections are health insurance, term life insurance, disability insurance, homeowners, renters insurance, and umbrella insurance. Skip whole life insurance, extended warranties, and disease-specific policies. Build an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses. Keep it in a separate high-yield savings account and only use it for real emergencies. You now have a wealth fortress protecting everything you build. But there's one more enemy that destroys wealth faster than anything else. It's not disaster, it's not bad luck. It's the government, specifically taxes. And in the next chapter, I'm going to show you how to legally pay less while keeping more of what you earn. Chapter 8. The Tax Optimization Playbook. You want to know the dirtiest secret in personal finance? The government takes 30 to 40% of everything you earn, and most people just accept it like it's inevitable. It's not. In this chapter, you're going to learn the legal strategies wealthy people use to minimize taxes, how to keep more of what you earn without breaking any laws, and why your tax strategy matters more than almost any investment return. Let me start with a statement that might shock you. I don't mind paying taxes. Roads, schools, military, infrastructure, these things cost money. Taxes fund civilization. But I'm only paying what I legally owe, not a penny more, and neither should you. The tax code is thousands of pages long for a reason. Within those pages are countless legal ways to reduce your tax burden. The wealthy know this. They use accountants and lawyers to find every deduction, every credit, every strategy. And they pay way less in taxes as a percentage than middle-class people. That's not illegal. That's smart. And you can do it too. Let me give you some perspective on how much taxes matter. If you make $70,000 a year and invest 10% in a taxable account, you'll have around $800,000 after 30 years of compound growth. If you invest that same 10% in a tax-advantaged account like a Roth IRA, you'll have over $1 million. Same contributions. The only difference is taxes. That extra $200,000 is money you kept instead of giving to the government. Tax optimization matters a lot. Now, let me walk you through the playbook. These are the strategies I use myself and teach to every client. Strategy 1. Maximize tax-advantaged accounts. I talked about 401ks and IRAs earlier. Now I'm telling you why they're so powerful from a tax perspective. Traditional 401ks and traditional IRAs reduce your taxable income now. If you make $70,000 and contribute $10,000 to a traditional 401k, you're only taxed on $60,000. You just saved about $2,400 in federal taxes. That's real money back in your pocket today. Roth 401ks and Roth IRAs don't reduce your taxes now, but they grow completely tax-free forever. Every dollar of growth, every dollar of compound interest, every dollar you withdraw in retirement, tax-free. That's insanely valuable. Which should you choose? If you're young and in a low tax bracket, prioritize Roth. Pay taxes now while they're low, then never pay taxes again. If you're older and in a high tax bracket, prioritize traditional. Save on taxes now, pay later when you might be in a lower bracket, but the key is maxing them out. These accounts have contribution limits for a reason. The government knows how powerful they are. Use every dollar of those limits. Strategy 2. HSA Triple Tax Advantage. This is the most tax-advantaged account that exists, and almost nobody uses it. An HSA is a health savings account. You can only have one if you have a high-deductible health insurance plan, but if you qualify, it's incredible. Here's why. You contribute pre-tax dollars, the money grows tax-free, and you withdraw tax-free for medical expenses. That's 3 tax advantages. No other account has that. And here's the secret. You don't have to spend the HSA money on current medical expenses. You can invest it, let it grow for decades, and use it for medical expenses in retirement. Healthcare in retirement is expensive. You'll have plenty of qualified expenses to use it on. Or here's the advanced move. Pay for medical expenses out of pocket now. Save the receipts. Let your HSA grow and compound. In 30 years, submit those old receipts and withdraw tax-free. Completely legal. Strategy 3. Tax loss harvesting. This is where you use losses to offset gains. Let's say you have investments that went up and investments that went down. You can sell the losers to generate a capital loss, then use that loss to offset the gains from your winners. This reduces your taxable income. And you can immediately buy a similar investment to maintain your portfolio allocation. Most investment platforms will do this automatically if you enable it. It's called tax loss harvesting, and it can save thousands in taxes over time. Strategy 4. Tax-efficient asset location. This is about putting the right investments in the right types of accounts. Investments that generate lots of taxable income, like bonds or dividend stocks, should go in tax-advantaged accounts where that income won't be taxed annually. Investments that are tax-efficient, like growth stocks or index funds that rarely distribute capital gains, can go in taxable accounts. This simple optimization can save you thousands per year just by being strategic about where you hold what. Strategy 5. Real estate tax benefits. If you own rental property, you get insane tax benefits. You can deduct mortgage interest, property taxes, repairs, property management, even depreciation, which is a paper loss that reduces your taxable income even though you didn't actually lose money. This is why wealthy people love real estate. The tax benefits are incredible. I'm not saying you should buy rental property just for taxes, but if you're going to invest in real estate anyway, understand and use every benefit the tax code gives you. Strategy 6. Business structure optimization. If you have a side business or any self-employment income, the right business structure can save you thousands. Operating as a sole proprietor means you pay both income tax and self-employment tax on everything. That's brutal. Operating as an S-corp allows you to pay yourself a reasonable salary, which is taxed, and take the rest as distributions, which aren't subject to self-employment tax. This can save $10,000 or more annually, depending on your income. Talk to a CPA about whether an S-corp makes sense for your situation. But don't default to sole proprietor just because it's simpler. Strategy 7. Charitable donations. If you're going to donate to charity anyway, do it strategically. Don't just write a check. Donate appreciated stock instead. Here's why. Let's say you bought stock for $1,000 that's now worth $3,000. If you sell it and donate cash, you pay capital gains tax on the $2,000 gain. If you donate the stock directly, you get a $3,000 tax deduction and pay zero capital gains tax. The charity gets the same $3,000, but you save way more in taxes. Now let me address the mindset issue. Some people feel guilty about minimizing taxes. They think it's unpatriotic or morally wrong. That's nonsense. You're not cheating. You're following the rules the government created. Every deduction, every credit, every strategy I've mentioned is completely legal. The tax code literally says, if you do this, you pay less. Using those provisions isn't cheating. Ignoring them is just paying more than you owe. Think about it this way. If you overpaid by $5,000, would the IRS send you a check saying, "We noticed you paid too much"? No. They'd keep it. So why would you voluntarily overpay? Use every legal advantage. Keep more of what you earn. That money builds your wealth, not the government's. Let me tell you what happens if you ignore tax optimization. You give away 30 to 40% of your income unnecessarily. That's maybe $15,000 to $20,000 a year for someone making $50,000 to $60,000. Over a career, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars, money that could have been building wealth for you instead. But here's what happens when you optimize taxes. You keep $10,000 to $15,000 more per year. You invest that money, it compounds. 30 years later, that's an extra $500,000 to $1 million in your portfolio, all from keeping money that was yours to begin with. Let's lock this in. Tax optimization matters as much as investment returns. Maximize tax-advantaged accounts like 401ks, IRAs, and HSAs. Use tax loss harvesting to offset gains with losses. Put tax-efficient investments in taxable accounts and tax-inefficient investments in tax-advantaged accounts. Consider real estate for its tax benefits. Choose the right business structure if you're self-employed. Donate appreciated assets instead of cash for better deductions. Using legal tax strategies isn't cheating. It's smart. You now understand how to legally minimize taxes and keep more of what you earn. But understanding systems isn't enough, because life is messy. Motivation fades, discipline fails. So in the next chapter, I'm going to show you the psychological hacks that make all of this automatic and effortless, how to rewire your brain so wealth building becomes your default behavior. Chapter 9. The Psychology Hacks. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. Why do you self-sabotage? You know what to do. You've learned the systems, you understand the strategies, but you still blow money on stupid things. You still skip your automatic transfers. You still make decisions that hurt future you. Why? In this chapter, you're going to discover the psychological hacks that make wealth building feel effortless instead of forced. You'll learn how to trick your brain into choosing wealth over instant gratification, how to use identity to drive behavior, and why future you is a stranger your brain doesn't care about. Here's the brutal truth. Your brain is wired to keep you broke, not because it hates you, but because it's optimized for survival in a world that no longer exists. 10,000 years ago, the biggest threat was starvation. So your brain evolved to prioritize immediate rewards over future benefits. See food? Eat it now. You might not find more later. That instinct kept your ancestors alive. But in modern society, that same instinct destroys your wealth. See something you want? Buy it now. The future can worry about itself. That's your ancient brain talking, and it's sabotaging your financial future. So how do you fight 10,000 years of evolution? You don't. You can't. Instead, you hack your psychology. You redesign your environment and your thinking so wealth building becomes the path of least resistance. Hack 1. Make future. You real. Your brain treats future you like a stranger. Literally. Brain scans show that when you think about your future self, the same areas light up as when you think about a stranger. You don't feel connected. So you make decisions that benefit present you and screw over future you. The hack? Make future you vivid and real. Write a letter from your future self. Use age progression apps to see what you'll look like at 65. Create a detailed visualization of your future life. The more real future you feels, the more your brain cares about protecting them. I do this exercise with clients. Close your eyes. Imagine you're 70 years old. You're sitting on your porch. What do you see? What do you feel? Are you worried about money, or are you comfortable? Are you still working because you have to, or are you free? Are you healthy and active, or broken down from decades of stress? Make that future real. Feel it. Now ask yourself, what does current you need to do to give that future you the life they deserve? Suddenly, skipping the automatic transfer doesn't feel like treating yourself. It feels like stealing from your future self. And that changes everything. Hack 2. Use identity-based goals. Most people set outcome-based goals. I want to save $10,000. The problem? That goal doesn't change who you are, so when it's hard, you quit. Identity-based goals are different. Instead of, I want to save money, you say, I'm someone who builds wealth. Instead of, I should invest, you say, I'm an investor. Why does this work? Because behavior follows identity. When something is part of who you are, you do it automatically. You don't negotiate. You don't decide every day. You just do it because that's who you are. I'll give you an example. I used to struggle with investing consistently. Then I changed my identity. I started saying, I'm an investor. Not, I'm trying to invest. Not, I want to invest someday. I'm an investor. And suddenly, investing became non-negotiable. Because that's what investors do. They invest. It's not a decision. It's identity. What's your wealth identity? Not what you want to do, what you are. I'm a wealth builder. I'm financially disciplined. I'm someone who makes smart money decisions. Pick one. Say it every day. Become it. Hack. 3. The 2-minute rule. Your brain resists starting big tasks. I need to set up my investment account. That sounds complicated. I'll do it later. And later never comes. The hack? Break it into a 2-minute task. I'm just going to open the website. That's it. 2 minutes. Your brain doesn't resist 2 minutes. But here's what happens. You open the website, and now you're there. Well, I might as well look around. Then, I might as well start the application. Before you know it, you've completed the whole thing. Because starting was the hard part. Use this for everything. Don't set up your whole financial system. Just look at your bank's automatic transfer options for 2 minutes. Don't figure out investing. Just search for index funds for 2 minutes. Lower the barrier to starting, and momentum takes care of the rest. Hack 4. The financial thermostat. Your brain has a financial set point, an unconscious belief about how much money you should have. When you go above it, you find ways to spend. When you go below it, you find ways to earn. This is why lottery winners often end up broke. Their thermostat is set to broke. So even with millions, their brain finds ways to lose it. They're uncomfortable with wealth because it doesn't match their internal set point. The hack? Consciously raise your financial thermostat. Track your net worth every month. Watch it grow. Celebrate milestones. Let your brain get comfortable with higher numbers. As your thermostat rises, your brain starts defending that new level. It becomes the new normal. And behaviors that threaten that level feel wrong. Your brain automatically protects your wealth because that's your new set point. Hack 5. The pre-commitment strategy. Your present self has good intentions. Your future self, in the moment of temptation, will make bad decisions. So don't rely on future you to be strong. Pre-commit now. Delete shopping apps, unsubscribe from promotional emails, freeze your credit cards, set up automatic transfers, make the bad decision hard and the good decision automatic. This is Ulysses and the Sirens. He knew he'd be tempted by their song, so he had his crew tie him to the mast. He pre-committed. He made it impossible for his future self to fail. Do the same with your finances. Don't rely on willpower in the moment. Make decisions now that protect future you from themselves. Hack 6. The pain pleasure. Flip, your brain moves away from pain and toward pleasure. Right now, spending gives pleasure and saving feels like pain, so you spend. The hack? Flip the association. Make spending painful and saving pleasurable. How? Every time you're about to make an impulse purchase, calculate what that money could become. That $50 dinner, invested for 30 years at 10%, becomes $877. You're not spending $50, you're spending $877 of future wealth. Suddenly, the purchase hurts, and choosing not to buy feels like winning. You just made $877. That's pleasurable. On the flip side, celebrate your saving and investing. Check your balances, watch them grow, feel proud, create pleasure around wealth-building behaviors. Hack 7. The highlight reel. Your brain remembers peaks and endings. It forgets the boring middle. So most of your financial journey, the slow, steady accumulation, won't feel significant. And that lack of feeling makes it hard to stay motivated. The hack? Create artificial peaks, set milestones, first 1,000 saved, first 10,000 invested, first month of positive cash flow. When you hit them, celebrate. Take yourself out to dinner. Tell someone you trust. Make it memorable. These peaks keep you motivated through the boring middle. They remind you that you're making progress even when it doesn't feel dramatic. Let me tell you a story about Jen. She understood every system I taught her. She automated everything. But 6 months in, she canceled all her automatic transfers. Why? Because she felt like nothing was happening. She had accumulated $4,000. But it didn't feel like enough. Her brain wanted dramatic results, and the slow accumulation felt pointless. So we created milestones. Every $1,000 saved was a celebration, a nice meal, a movie night, a small reward. And suddenly, she had something to work toward. She could see progress. Her brain got the feedback it needed. 3 years later, she has $45,000 invested, not because the system changed, but because we hacked her psychology to make the journey rewarding. Here's what I want you to understand. Knowing what to do doesn't matter if you don't do it, and you won't do it consistently if it feels hard, boring, or unrewarding. So you have to hack your psychology. You have to redesign your environment, your thinking, your identity, so that wealth building becomes automatic, so that it feels right, so that not doing it feels wrong. That's when everything changes. That's when you actually build wealth instead of just knowing how. Let me tell you what happens if you ignore psychology. You'll struggle forever. You'll know what to do but won't do it. You'll start strong and quit fast. You'll sabotage yourself and not understand why. And 10 years from now, you'll still be at the beginning, still trying to build discipline, still failing. But here's what happens when you master these hacks. Wealth building becomes effortless. Your environment does the work. Your identity drives behavior. Your brain protects your wealth instead of sabotaging it. And 5 years from now, you look back shocked at how far you've come, because it didn't even feel hard. Let's lock this in. Your brain is wired for survival, not wealth, so you must hack your psychology. Make future you real and vivid to increase connection. Use identity-based goals because behavior follows identity. Apply the 2-minute rule to overcome resistance to starting. Raise your financial thermostat by tracking and celebrating growth. Pre-commit to good decisions so future you can't fail. Flip pain-pleasure associations to make saving pleasurable and spending painful. Create milestone celebrations to maintain motivation. You now have the psychological hacks that make wealth building automatic. But there's one final piece. Everything we've covered builds wealth over time, but time is meaningless without a vision of where you're going. In the final chapter, I'm going to help you create your 20-year wealth vision, the compelling future that makes every sacrifice worth it. Chapter 10. The 20-year wealth vision. Here's a question most people never ask themselves. What does wealth actually mean to you? Not the generic answer, not financial freedom or enough money. What specifically does your wealthy life look like? What are you doing? Where are you living? How are you spending your time? What problems have disappeared? In this final chapter, you're going to create your 20-year wealth vision, the specific, detailed picture of the life you're building. You'll learn how to set financial milestones that actually mean something, how to stay motivated over decades, and why the journey matters as much as the destination. Let me tell you why this matters. Most people treat wealth building like a diet. They suffer through it hoping to reach some finish line where they can finally relax and enjoy life. And you know what happens? They either quit before they get there, or they get there and realize it doesn't feel how they expected. Wealth building isn't a diet. It's a lifestyle. It's not about suffering now for some distant payoff. It's about designing a life where you're building wealth and enjoying the journey. But that only works if you know where you're going, if you have a clear, compelling vision that makes every decision obvious, if you can see the life you're creating and feel excited about building it. So let's create that vision. First, imagine it's 20 years from now. You've implemented everything in this book. You've built wealth consistently. You've automated your systems. You've optimized taxes. You've protected yourself. Your investments have compounded. You've achieved what most people only dream about. Now, answer these questions and be specific. Where do you live? Not just a nice house. What does the house look like? What neighborhood? What's the view from your window? How does it feel to wake up there every morning? What's your daily routine? Do you still work? If so, is it because you have to or because you want to? What do you do with your time? What does a typical Tuesday look like? Who are you with? Is your family taken care of? Are your kids' educations funded? Are you supporting causes you care about? Who has your life positively impacted? What have you stopped worrying about? Money? Retirement? Your kids' futures? Medical bills? What burden has been lifted from your shoulders? What new opportunities are available? Travel you couldn't afford before? Starting a business without financial risk? Helping family members? Retiring early? What's possible now that wasn't before? Get specific. Write it down. Make it vivid. Make it real. I'm going to share my vision as an example. 20 years from now, I live in a home I own outright. No mortgage. It's not a mansion. I don't need that. But it's exactly what I want. Comfortable. Peaceful. Space for my family. I wake up when I want. No alarm clock dictated by a job I don't control. I work because I choose to, on projects I care about, with people I respect. I say no to anything that doesn't align with my values because I don't need the money. My kids' college funds are fully funded. They can pursue any education they want without debt. That cycle of financial stress ends with me. I have fuck you money. Enough invested that I could quit everything tomorrow and live comfortably for decades. That security gives me freedom. Freedom to take risks, freedom to speak truth, freedom to live authentically. I travel without worrying about costs. Not luxury travel necessarily. I don't care about that. But I go where I want, when I want, without checking my bank account first. And most importantly, I'm not stressed about money. That constant low-level anxiety that most people carry their whole lives, gone. I know I'm taken care of. My family's taken care of. The future is secure. That's my vision. And it's compelling enough that every decision becomes obvious. Should I buy this expensive thing I don't need? Does it move me toward that vision or away from it? Away. Easy decision. Now, here's the key. Your vision doesn't have to be massive wealth. It doesn't have to be yachts and private jets. That might not even be what you want. Maybe your vision is simple. Owning a modest home outright, having 6 months of expenses saved, never worrying about unexpected bills, being able to help your kids without going into debt, retiring at 65 with dignity. That's a beautiful vision, and it's achievable with the systems in this book. Or maybe your vision is bigger, building $1 million net worth, retiring at 45, funding your kids' and grandkids' educations, starting a foundation. Traveling the world for years, that's achievable too. It just requires more time and more aggressive saving. The point is, your vision is yours. Don't compare it to anyone else's. Don't feel pressure to want more than you want. Build the life you actually desire, not the life Instagram tells you to desire. Now let's turn that vision into actionable milestones. A 20-year vision is inspiring but abstract. You need concrete checkpoints along the way. Year 1. Milestone, systems established, automatic transfers running, emergency fund started, debt payoff plan active. You're not wealthy yet, but you're building the foundation. Year 3 milestone, emergency fund complete, debt significantly reduced or eliminated, first 5 to 10,000 invested. You've proven to yourself that the system works. Year 5. Milestone, net worth positive and growing, 25 to 50,000 invested depending on income. Lifestyle comfortable but controlled. Confidence building. Year 10. Milestone, 100 to 300,000 net worth depending on your starting point and income. Debt-free, cash flowing consistently into investments. The compound effect is becoming visible. Year 15. Milestone, 300 to 600,000 net worth. You can see retirement on the horizon. You're no longer worried about surviving, you're optimizing for thriving. Year 20. Milestone. Your vision achieved. 500,000 to over 1 million net worth, financial independence within reach or already achieved. You've built what most people only dream about. These are approximations. Your numbers will differ based on income, starting debt, and how aggressively you save. But the pattern is universal. Slow at first, then accelerating, then exponential. That's compound growth. The first 5 years feel like nothing's happening. Years 6 through 10, you notice real progress. Years 11 through 20, wealth explodes. This is why you can't quit early. This is why consistency matters. Because the magic happens in the second decade, but only if you survive the first. Now, let me tell you about the hardest part of the 20-year journey. The middle. Years 5 through 12. You're not broke anymore, but you're not wealthy yet. Progress feels slow. Temptation is everywhere. This is where most people quit. They see friends buying new cars, taking expensive vacations, living large, and they think, maybe I'm missing out. Maybe I should loosen up. Maybe I'm being too extreme. Don't. This is the critical period. This is where discipline separates those who build wealth from those who stay broke. Remember your vision. Remember why you're doing this. Every sacrifice now is buying future freedom. Every dollar invested is a brick in the fortress that eventually sets you free. And here's what nobody tells you. The journey changes you. You're not the same person at the end that you were at the beginning. Wealth building builds more than wealth. It builds character. You learn patience, delayed gratification, self-control, strategic thinking. These skills transfer to every area of life. You become someone who sets goals and achieves them. Someone who doesn't quit when things are hard. Someone who plays the long game. That person is more valuable than any dollar amount in your account. I've watched thousands of people go through this journey, and you know what's interesting? The ones who succeed often say the same thing. I'm grateful for the struggle. It made me who I am. They're not grateful for being broke. They're grateful for what they learned by climbing out. They're grateful for the strength they built. They're grateful for becoming someone who doesn't need wealth to feel secure because they trust themselves to build it. Let me tell you what happens if you don't have a clear vision. You drift. You implement some systems but abandon them when they're inconvenient. You make progress, then regress, then progress again. 20 years pass and you're marginally better off but nowhere near your potential, and you wonder what happened. But here's what happens when you have a clear, compelling vision. You're anchored. Every decision is measured against that vision. Distractions don't tempt you because you know where you're going. 20 years pass and you've achieved something remarkable, something most people never build. And you did it consistently, patiently, deliberately. Let me leave you with this. You're going to be somewhere 20 years from now. That's guaranteed. Time passes whether you act or not. The only question is where you'll be. Will you be broke, still working paycheck to paycheck, still stressed about money, still wondering why you can't get ahead, or will you be free, wealthy, secure, living life on your terms? That choice is made today, not someday. Today. Every automated transfer builds your future. Every investment compounds toward freedom. Every smart decision creates the life you're envisioning, and every day you wait costs you exponentially. So decide right now, who are you 20 years from now? What life have you built? And what is present you willing to do to give future you that gift? Let's lock this in. Your 20-year wealth vision should be specific, vivid, and personally meaningful. Set concrete milestones for years 1, 3, 5, 10, 15, and 20. Understand that progress accelerates. The first decade is foundation, the second decade is exponential growth. The middle years are the hardest. That's when most people quit. The journey builds character as much as wealth. Time will pass regardless. Choose where you'll be in 20 years by what you do today. Closing. You made it. You've learned everything you need to know to build wealth without willpower. Let me tell you what's changed since you started this book. When you started, you probably believed wealth required superhuman discipline, that you needed to budget every dollar, resist every temptation, and maintain perfect control for decades. That belief kept you broke. Now you understand the truth. Wealth doesn't come from discipline. It comes from systems, from automation, from making one-time decisions that create permanent behavior, from removing willpower from the equation entirely. When you started, you probably blamed yourself for past failures. You thought you were bad with money, undisciplined, weak, and that belief became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now you understand. You were never the problem. The strategy was the problem. You were using willpower, a tool designed to fail. You were trying to budget your way to wealth, an approach with a ceiling. You were fighting your psychology instead of hacking it. None of that was your fault. You just didn't know better. Now you do. When you started, wealth probably seemed impossible, something other people achieved, people who were smarter, luckier, more disciplined than you. And that belief kept you from trying. Now you understand. Wealth is inevitable when you implement the right systems. It's not magic, it's not luck, it's not genius. It's automation, compound interest, time, and consistency. Anyone can build wealth, including you. So here's what happens in the next 90 days. This is your roadmap. This is exactly what to do. Month 1. Build your foundation. Week 1. Open your investment account. Set up automatic transfers. Even if it's just $50 per paycheck, make it automatic. This week, you build the system that builds wealth. Week 2. Audit your money scripts. Write down your beliefs about money. Identify which ones are sabotaging you. Choose new empowering scripts and repeat them daily. Week 3. Calculate your spending, not to shame yourself, to understand your baseline. From there, implement the wealth capture system for any income increases. Week 4. Build your emergency fund starter, $500 to $1,000. This protects you while you build wealth. Month 2. Optimize and protect. Week 5. Review your insurance. Do you have the 5 essential protections? If not, get quotes and fix the gaps. Week 6. Set up tax-advantaged accounts. Max out your 401k match if available. Open an IRA. These are non-negotiable. Week 7. Eliminate or consolidate high-interest debt. Use the wealth capture system to accelerate payments. Get out of the hole before you climb. Week 8. Increase your automatic investment by whatever amount you can. Even $25 more per month compounds to massive wealth. Month 3. Accelerate and scale. Week 9, identify one income acceleration strategy, one skill to learn, one value multiplier to create, one step up the leverage ladder. Week 10, implement one psychology hack, pre-commit to something, create milestone celebrations, raise your financial thermostat, pick one that resonates and apply it. Week 11, write your 20-year wealth vision. Make it specific, make it compelling, make it real. Let it guide every decision from now on. Week 12, review everything. How much are you saving automatically? How much have you invested? Are your systems running smoothly? Celebrate your progress. You've built more wealth in 3 months than most people build in years. That's your 90-day plan. Follow it exactly, and you'll be further ahead than 95% of people. Now let me paint a picture of your future if you actually do this. 5 years from now, you're sitting at your kitchen table. You check your investment account, $50,000, maybe more. You barely remember saving it because it happened automatically. You're still living a comfortable life, but you're also building massive wealth in the background. You're not stressed about money anymore. Bills get paid. Unexpected expenses don't terrify you because your emergency fund handles them. You've climbed out of the paycheck-to-paycheck trap. You can breathe. 10 years from now, your net worth is $250,000 or more. You're thinking about what comes next. Maybe early retirement. Maybe starting a business without financial risk. Maybe just the peace of knowing you're taken care of. The options are opening up. You see friends still struggling with money, still living paycheck to paycheck, still stressed, still stuck. And you remember that was you. You remember the moment you decided to change. You remember implementing these systems, and you're grateful you started when you did. 20 years from now, you're free. Maybe not yacht rich, but free. Your investments have compounded into 7 figures or close to it. You can retire if you want. You can work if you choose. The difference is massive. You have options. You have security. You have the life you envisioned back when you read this book. And here's what's wild. You didn't suffer to get there. You didn't deprive yourself for 20 years. You made a few one-time decisions. You set up some systems. You let automation and compound interest do the work. It wasn't easy, but it wasn't torture either. That's your future if you implement what you've learned. Now let me paint the alternative. The future if you don't. 5 years from now, you're in the same place, maybe making a bit more money, but spending every penny. Still stressed about bills, still living paycheck to paycheck, still telling yourself you'll start saving next month. 10 years from now, you're falling further behind. Your friends who started investing are pulling ahead. Retirement seems impossible. The anxiety is getting worse. You're starting to panic. 20 years from now, you're looking at working until 70 or beyond. Social Security might not exist. You have nothing saved. You're dependent on your kids or the government. You're bitter. You're scared. And worst of all, you remember the moment you could have changed, the book you read, the systems you learned, and you remember choosing not to implement them. That regret will eat you alive. So, here's my challenge to you. Don't let that be your story. You have everything you need right now. You don't need more information. You don't need to read another book. You don't need to wait until you make more money or pay off all your debt or feel ready. You just need to start. Tomorrow morning, not next week, not next month. Tomorrow morning, do one thing. Open an investment account. Set up one automatic transfer. Cancel one subscription you don't use. Calculate your emergency fund target. Just one action that moves you toward the life you want. And then the next day, do one more thing. And the day after that, one more. Small actions compound just like money does. 6 months of daily small actions, and you'll be unrecognizable. Your finances will be transformed. Your mindset will have shifted. Your future will be completely different. But it starts tomorrow, with one action. Here's what I know about you. You wouldn't have read this entire book if you didn't want to change. Something in you is ready. Something in you knows you're capable of more. Something in you is tired of being broke, tired of being stressed, tired of feeling like you're failing. Listen to that voice. That's future you calling. That's the person you're becoming. That's the wealthy, secure, free version of yourself who's waiting for present you to make the decision. Make it today. I believe in you, not because I know you personally, but because I've seen thousands of people transform using these exact systems. People who were more broke than you, more in debt than you, more hopeless than you, and they made it. You can too. The life you want, the financial security, the freedom, the peace of mind. It's not a fantasy. It's not reserved for other people. It's achievable. It's waiting for you. And the only thing standing between you and that life is the decision to start. So decide right now. Are you going to be the person who reads this book, feels inspired for a day, and then goes back to the same patterns? Or are you going to be the person who reads this book and actually implements it? Who sets up the systems? Who commits to the journey? Who builds the wealth? That choice is yours. Nobody can make it for you. Your parents can't. Your spouse can't. Your friends can't. Only you. And 20 years from now, you'll look back at this moment, at the choice you made right here. And you'll either be grateful you started or you'll regret that you didn't. Don't let future you down. You deserve financial security. You deserve freedom. You deserve the peace that comes from knowing you're taken care of. You deserve the life you're envisioning, and you're capable of building it. Everything you need is in this book. The systems, the strategies, the psychology, the roadmap. It's all here. You don't need anything else. You just need to act. So here's my final message to you. This is your moment. This is your time. This is the day everything changes. Not because circumstances change. Not because you get lucky. Not because someone rescues you. But because you decide to rescue yourself. You decide to build systems instead of relying on discipline. You decide to automate wealth building instead of white-knuckling through budgets. You decide to play the long game instead of chasing quick fixes. You decide that 20 years from now, you'll be wealthy, free, and grateful you started today. Make that decision. Take that first action. Build that future. The wealthy life you want is on the other side of one simple choice. Start. Do it now. Your future self is counting on you. Don't let them down.